Hey guys, what's up? This is Tapichu and I hope you guys are doing okay, and welcome to the video. In this video I will be teaching you how to create a client to server communication system using remote events and remote functions. If you don't know what it is, you will know by the end of the video, but at the moment it probably sounds like gibberish, but trust me, it's a really simple concept to learn. And aside from that, I will also be teaching you how to create a leaderboard. So obviously on every Roblox game, unless it's been disabled, you can see on the top right a list of player names. That's basically the leaderboard. And what I'm going to teach you is how to add in additional extra stats such as a level stat or XP stat, just in case your game or project needs it. And it also makes it so I can also show an example with the remote events and functions later on in the video. But yeah, so that's everything that will be taught in this video. If you haven't watched the previous videos, obviously you know what I'm gonna say. Be sure to go check all of them out. You're probably missing out on a lot so far because there's 8 episodes out right now. And before I start, I do want to say a big thank you to everyone. We're almost at 50 subscribers. 2 videos ago I barely reached 30. I think I was on 37 actually. But yeah, now in this video I'm at 47 subscribers, close to 50. So many thanks for everyone leaving a like and subscribing and leaving suggestions and commenting how good the videos and content are. I will be trying my best to pump out even more like videos and TikToks and shorts to everyone. So just yeah, many thanks and love to everyone. I appreciate every single comment and like, and yeah. And I have read on a comment in my previous video regarding creating a Discord server. I have thought about it, but for now I'm just gonna leave it. But if I were to create a Discord server, I will announce it in a future video, so be on the lookout for that. But for now I'm just gonna leave it for just my YouTube channel and my TikTok, so be sure to check out both of them. But yeah, my TikTok is in the YouTube channel description, so yeah. And I don't have anything else to announce, so we can get straight into the video. So I was originally going to start off with the communication, showing you how to create the client to server communication, but I'm going to start off with the leaderboard instead. So when I press play, I'm going to be in, and as you can see, top right, there's my leaderboard. In most games you will be able to see a leaderboard. It just has obviously my name and a bunch of other people's names. And what you can do is basically you go into the players. Let's say you go into my specific player, you add in a folder, I'm gonna add this folder, and then you rename it to Leaderstats. And basically any value that you add in here will now be added onto the leaderboard. So if I go in here and I add in something called a number value, you can see now that it's been created, and I can obviously add in a custom value, can just do anything, and it will be replicated into the leaderboard. If I were to change the name, it wouldn't work here because I created it in during runtime, which shouldn't be done really. But that's basically what I'll be showing you in the next 5 minutes, hopefully. Could be less than that. But yeah, so that's how you would create a leaderboard. So you have to make sure that each player model will, not model, but each player object has a leaderstats folder. It has to be named this, by the way. And then you have to make sure that in each leaderstats folder you have this thing called a number value. So sorry I didn't explain it, but a number value is basically just an object that is basically containing a number value. So obviously there's a lot more different values that you can get. So if you just search up value, you can literally see all of them. So it can go from number value to an int value, which is just an integer value, or a color 3, or a string value, which is just for words and stuff, if you remember. There's just a lot of different values that you can use. But in the leaderboard, you're probably going to use number value. I don't see why you would use the other ones really. But yeah, so let's get straight into the coding. So what we're going to do here is we have to create a server script instead of a local script first of all, because you can't really create a leaderboard obviously from the client. You'd want to create it from the server. So what we're going to do here is we can create a script in workspace or server script service. Personally, I'm going to go in server script service, click on the plus, and you can click on script. And then with my script added, I'm going to call this, don't really have to give it a name, I'm just going to call it player leaderboard. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to remove that, And then I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna type down, we first have to access the player's service and then create an event listener to player added. So what we're gonna do here is just game, which is just you know, the entire game, and then dot players dot player added. So that is our event name. And then we do a colon connect, and then we're gonna do function, and then we put in more brackets, and then we press enter. So this is our event listener, and if you couldn't tell, it's pretty straightforward. So a player added event just means a player is being added to the game, and it also says it fires when a player enters the game. So obviously if you wanted to do the opposite for whatever reason, such as, you know, auto saving for example, you could do game.players.player removing. That would be the opposite event listener for when a player is leaving the game. But yeah, so game.players.player added connect function. And then what we want to do is that a player added event will take in a parameter called a player, and that basically just means this is the player that's currently being added to the game, and that's going to be our player object that we can access. So instead of having to do it manually in the Explorer like what I was doing before to show you it, we're going to do it in this script. So what we want to do is create a we're going to create a folder and then name it Leaderstats. So it's pretty straightforward. We just do local, and then we can we have to give the variable a name. So I'm gonna call it stats, I guess. Oh, I can't use that. If you can see that if it goes blue, that means it's a keyword. You don't want to be using that. I think it'll give an error. So I'm just gonna rename that to leaderstats, and then equals because I want to set it to a value. And then to create a new object or instance, what we simply do is we write down the keyword instance dot new. Then we do brackets, and then we do speech marks folder, and then we can either close the bracket like that, but what I like to do is I like to do comma, and then I like to give in the parent name straight away, so the parent would be the player. And now this would create our folder directly inside the player. But if we just want to go simple, we're just going to do this. So we're going to do leaderstats equals instance.new folder. So now this variable is now a folder. But we obviously have to assign it a parent, so we're going to do leaderstats.parent equals player. You can now either put the naming before or after this line. I don't think it matters too much. Personally, I just like to set up everything and then parent it. So I'm going to do here leaderstats.name equals leaderstats. So remember, the folder has to be named this, otherwise it will not show up in the leaderboard, the stats that you then add to it. So that's a key thing that I should keep in mind. It's the same as my variable, but it doesn't really matter the variable name, it's just the actual folder name itself. And then we just parent it to the player object, and now our leaderstats folder should be in there whenever we join the game. So if I were to press play, go into my player, and you can see leaderstats is now created. So now after that, we're free to add in whatever stats we want. So let's say I wanted to add a level stat. I'm going to do here local level equals instance.new, and then basically with instance.new we can literally create any object that I usually would show you using plus. So yeah, so what we're going to do here, we're going to do number value because that's what we want to put in. We're going to do close bracket, and I'm going to do level.name because you should always name it, of course. Level.name equals level. Then we're going to do level.parent equals leaderstats. So just keep this in mind, make sure it's the parent to the leader stats, not to the player itself, otherwise it won't work. And then what we can do here, we can set up the value as well. So level.value equals, let's say we want players to start off at level 1 instead of 0, we just leave it as 1, and then when we press play, you can see now that our leaderboard is created. We've got a people's list, so our names, we've got the level stat called 1. It doesn't have to just be 1, you can add in multiple stats. I'm just copy and pasting it. I'm going to do this XP. I'm going to leave it as a number value. XP. And then XP, I'm just going to do 0. And then as you can see here, it doesn't get created. Oh, it's because I forgot to name it. Yeah, be sure to not do that. But yeah, so I've created my XP number value, named it XP. The parent is once again in the leader stats, and the value will be set to 0. But to press play, now it's created. Okay. But yeah, so we've got our level stat and our XP stats. That is how you would create a leaderboard. It's fairly simple. But yeah, so obviously, let's say your game had saving, such as saving a level or XP or other stats that you want in the leader stats. You'd create the leader stats in the stats, and then you'd load in the value pretty much over here. So but I'll teach you how to create and save and load data on in a later video, because that's a bit more advanced than this video. But yeah, so that's how you would create a leaderboard. Now I want to show you how to create a proper client to server communication system. So before I move into that, you are probably wondering why do we need it in our games or projects. Basically, it just makes it so the player can interact with the server, and the server can also interact with the client. Because at the moment, I forgot to explain this earlier, but basically in the first scripting guide, the first video I mean, taught the fundamentals of how a Roblox game's network model is. So basically the network model is, you have the server, so the server is where the game is created on and where everything that is handled, such as the game mechanics and logic and stuff like that, like saving and loading as well. And then we got something else called clients. So clients are the players that actually join the game, so they're human controlled players. An NPC that you could see in a game, or a zombie or a pet, anything like that, they do not count as a client. So a client is purely just players that have joined the game, and basically a client can't access stuff on the server. So if I went to press play, I wouldn't be able to see stuff in server script service or server storage, for example. And if a server wanted to, let's say, put in like a loading screen, they wouldn't necessarily be able to access the player's GUI, or let's say they wanted to change a player's UI, they wouldn't be able to do that, or change a player's camera. Basically, a server can't access the clients, and the clients can't access the server. Hence why we need to use remote events and remote functions. So we're using remote events and remote functions. They both basically allow it so those two can basically communicate with each other. So the client can communicate with the server and vice versa, basically. And yeah, so that's basically a brief description on why we need to implement this and why we should have it in our projects and games, pretty much. So firstly, I'm going to teach you how to create a remote event. So a remote event is basically just a one-way communication between either a client to the server or a server to the client. So this is really commonly used. I use it a lot in my games, and I'm pretty sure all of this will be used in many games, otherwise they wouldn't really be able to function that well. But yeah, so it's just one-way communication. So you just send a request to the other, end, but you don't want any information to come back. You don't want a return value, basically. So yeah, so in order to do that, so what you need to do is, firstly, when you create a remote event or a remote function, you have to put it in a place where they can both be accessed by the server and the client. A good spot would be the replicated storage. I use this. I'm pretty sure it's really common to use it here. I can't imagine anywhere else that they'll be used. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go into replicated storage. And then personally, what I like to do, I like to make an events folder just to keep things organized. And then we click on the plus, and we're going to search up, well, it's already here, but we're going to search up remote event. And then click on remote event. We do not use unreliable remote event. That's something else that you'll probably be taught on a bit later. But for now, just click on remote event, and then that's our event created. And then let's say we wanted to create a event where, let's say a player was to jump, for example, or not jump. Let's say a player was to click on a button on their screen. If I'll make it so the event basically makes it so the server can listen to the clients that are clicking on their screen. So I'm just going to do this button clicker, and then over here I'm just going to create a quick little button. So screen GUI, where is it? Text button. I might just skip this forward, to be fair. Catch you guys in a bit. Hey guys, I'm back, and as you can see, I've got my click me button created now. So if I press play, it doesn't really do anything right now. I'm also going to go quickly into my leaderboard and I'm going to just change this to clicks. So clicks, clicks, then just copy and paste that everywhere. I'm going to put this as 0. And now if I press play, you can see it's now clicks, and I've got a click me button that currently doesn't work. So let's say I wanted it so whenever I press the click me button, it would add on to the clicks in the leaderboard. So what you can do here is you create a request from the client, and then you make the client request to the server basically. So client will request to the server, oh hey, I pressed the click me button, and then the server will be able to handle that and just add an extra 1 to the clicks stat in the player's leaderboard. So to do that is yeah, so we're gonna have to first detect if there's a click on the button itself. So I'm gonna do here a local script, and then I'm just gonna do script.parent. Mouse button 1 click, connect function, and enter. And then I'm just gonna do here game, and then what you can do here is, this is important by the way, you can either do game.replicated storage, or you can do game and then you do colon get service replicated storage, and then you put it inside the brackets, and then you can continue doing whatever you want to do. I personally like doing this. I highly suggest that you do it this way instead of directly accessing it. And kind of forgot the reason why we do this. So hopefully anybody in the comments could inform me on that, or and everyone else I mean. But yeah, so I highly suggest doing this instead of doing it in the former of where you're just directly accessing it. I think it's just in case they changed their name or something like that. I forgot. But yeah, so we do game get service replicate storage, and then we want to get the button clicker remote event. So we're going to do dot events dot button clicker, and then what we can do here is colon fire server. That's it. That's all we want to do. We don't want to really send any more information on that. Let's say we did want to send in information, we can basically in the brackets we can put in whatever we want. So we can put in, I don't know, I don't really know, I can't think of anything at the moment, but let's say you wanted to add in information, you can basically put it in here. So let's say I'm doing like a fighting game and I wanted to add in oh hey, I'm doing this move. You can say move 1 for example, or move 2 for example, or you can do like a, I don't know, that's basically how you would add in more information if you want to pass it on to the server or vice versa. So now whenever you press on the button, this now gets fired, and basically what happens is we send a request to the server. And then to do that, so if we want the server to listen in, what we have to do is, once again, we have to do game get service replicate storage, and then we're going to do dot events dot button clicker, and then we're going to do what was it, dot on server event, and then we're going to do connect function, then we do brackets, and then press enter. So remember how I was explaining before, you can put in more information. So let's say I was doing that move 1, if I was doing that fighting game idea. So let's say I'm doing my first move, I can pass in, I'm doing move 1, and then over here I can just track by adding an extra variable here saying move name, and if I were to press print the move name, that would basically print out the value that they sent over, which is move 1. So that's how you would gain information from the client basically. But here we don't really care about that, we just want to add in an extra 1 to the click, so we don't really need any additional information. Also, I forgot to say, what is needed is we have to put in the player's name. So we have to put in a player variable, and this basically just means the player that is, you know, firing the event. So what we're going to do here is we first need to get leader stats, and we have to get the clicks as well. So what we're going to have to do is we do player, actually hold on, I'm going to do this, local stats equals, keep forgetting that's a keyword, so local leader stats equals player, then you do colon, and then what we're going to do is something called find first child. I have used it before in my previous tutorials, but basically find first child basically makes it so that it will find the first child of the object that is using the name that you're gonna give it. So here I'm going to do leader stats, and basically yeah, so what this is going to do, it's going to go into player, try and find the first child that is named leader stats, and then what we can do here is we're going to do local stats, not stats, I mean clicks. Local clicks equals leader stats, and then once again we're going to do find first child clicks. And what this is going to do is it's going to check the leader stats if it has found it, and then it'll try and find the first object called clicks. So that's how you would use find first child. However, there's also something else that you can use. So we can do wait for child. So this is similar to find first child. However, wait for child will basically make it so the script will basically wait. That's why it's in the name. Wait for child. So that's basically what it's going to do. It's just going to make the script wait, and it'll continue looping. I think it loops for maximum 10 seconds or something before it like cancels out, I think. Or it can just wait indefinitely. I'm not too sure what it does. So that's what it basically does. So it'll wait for that child to be named. It'll wait for a child named leader stats to show up pretty much. However, the difference is between this and find first child is, let's say the object doesn't exist, you can't really tell with wait for child. However, with find first child, I mean, you can basically, it'll attempt to find it. If it's not there, it'll set this to nil, and basically you can just add in an if condition saying, oh, if this variable is set to nil, that means it doesn't exist. So that's one use of using find first child over wait for child. And additionally, it'll basically make it so the script doesn't wait as well, so there's no yielding anywhere in your script. So yielding just means waiting, by the way. But that's the reason why I'm gonna, so yeah, that's why I'm gonna use wait for child, so instead of find first child, because I know for a fact that leader stats should be in the player's you know, children. And then yeah, so we've got leader stats, we're gonna get clicks, and then what we're gonna do here is just do clicks.value, and then we could do equals clicks.value plus 1. However, if you want to keep this even simpler, what you can do here is just do plus equals, and it basically just adds a 1 to the clicks.value. So now if I press play, if I click on click me, you can see now it's going up. It keeps going up as fast as I click. Obviously I can't really click that fast, but that's, now we've created a really simple system. So this is our client communicating to the server. So that's how you would use a remote event from a client to the server. So let's say I wanted to do the opposite and wanted the server to talk to the client instead. An example of this would be, I'm trying to think. Let's say we wanted to add a you win text, so like a victory screen. So what we can do here is, I'm going to quickly create a text label on the top of the screen. It'll just be a message basically. So I'm just going to do that quickly, just going to speed forward it. Once again, see you guys in a bit. Hey guys, so I've just finished creating my message label that I wanted to do. So currently there's no text inside it, but if I added a text, you can see that it appears at the top. So let's say I've got a game and I want the server to tell the client, oh hey, I just want to put in a message to you quickly. Can you write this down on your screen? We can basically achieve that with remote events. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do here is what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna do this script, message script, and oh wait, first of all we need to create an extra event. So here I'm just gonna do a remote event, and I'm gonna call it message event. And then what I'm gonna do is while wait. I'm gonna do a while loop. I'll wait every 1 second. So I'll just do while true do. I'm gonna add in here wait 2 seconds, and then I'm gonna do instead of just, I'm gonna make a variable for replicate storage. So what you can do here, you can just name it RS or replicate storage, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to do RS actually, just to keep it short. So game, get service, replicate storage. So it just makes it simpler to refer to it. So I'm going to do rs.events.message event. Technically this could be a variable as well. And then I'm going to do fire client, and then I'd have to pick a player's name. So I don't know if there's a, I think there's an additional event, so you could do fire all clients. So I'm just gonna do that instead. So I'm gonna do fire all clients and then the message. So let's say the message is, this is the first message. And then I'm gonna make it wait 2 more seconds. And then I'm gonna do, this is the second message. And then I'm gonna wait 2 more seconds. I'm gonna do, this is the third message. Basically, when the game starts, this is gonna be a while true do loop. So this means that it'll always be looping. It'll never stop unless there's a break inside the loop. It'll wait 2 seconds. It'll send a message event request to all the clients with the message inside, and it'll wait 2 seconds. Do the same for the second, and then wait 2 seconds and do the same with the third. So now all I have to do is just create a script so the client can listen to that request. So what you can do is, I personally create the event listeners on the client on starter player scripts. Yeah, I think that's a good spot. Yeah, starter player scripts. You don't put it in starter character scripts. But yeah, most of the time it should be in starter player scripts. I'm just going to do here plus local script. And then what we're going to do is game get service replicated storage dot events dot message event. And then we're going to do dot on client event. So that just basically means when I get a message from the server, connect function. And then since in the event I know that there'll be a message being sent over, I'm going to make a variable called message. Then you press enter. And then what we want to do is we need to get the screen UI. Oh, actually, I'll just put it inside here. You know, let me just copy and paste this. So I'm just gonna delete that script. Yeah, so forget all that. So basically what I just did is I just went into my text button, I clicked on the local script, and now I'm just gonna add onto this instead. So that basically, instead of, if I left it in starter player scripts, it would mean I'd have to get the player's UI and then I have to go into the button. But if I do it directly under the button, it just keeps things simpler. So what we're going to do is we're going to do script.parent.parent. So that basically makes us so we're in the screen UI, and we're just going to go down to message label.text equals message. And it's as simple as that. If I were to press play, it would basically write down the message inside the label so that every client can see. So once again, this is a while loop. It will send a request to all the clients about a message, and in the script there is a listener to that request. So we use onClient event, we connect it to an event listener to put in the message inside the message label text. So if I press play, you can see it now, it's appearing on my top of my screen now. There's just going to be a little loop, not going to change. However, clearly, let's say you had a mini game, you can basically do a system where, let's say the game's waiting for 2 or more players to appear. You can have that be written up here, or you can do like any, a timer, for example, or a boss battle, or like a HP. You could do anything basically. So that's just a quick example of using a remote event to communicate from the server to the client. So lastly, we're almost there at the end of the video. So what I want to teach you next is something called a remote function. So a remote function is basically, unlike a remote client, it will want a value to be returned from the other end. So it's a two-way communication basically. So let's say from the client, I could make a remote function that would make it so the client talks to the server, and then the server will send data or information back to the client. Or if, let's say, the server wanted information from the client, and then so the server would make a request to the client, and then the client will send data back to the server. So I'll show you how you can do that. So it's simple. Simply go into events, go to a plus, and then we can do remote. Remote, and then we just put in remote function. So there's just only one object. You won't get confused. And then I need to think of an idea to showcase this. So I'm just gonna make it so I'm gonna make a remote function that makes it so when I click on a button, it'll change the color from red to green. So I'll just do that. So that's gonna make me, that means I have to make another button. So I'm gonna do that quickly. I don't think we need time for it. Yeah. You know what, I'll just skip the time. I'll catch you in a bit once again. Hey guys, I'm back. So I've got the button created. So basically what we want to do is whenever we click on this button, we want it so it sends a request to the server. Oh hey, we click on the button and the server will basically send in a random color back to the client. Well, not random. You know what, I'm just gonna stick to making it green or red just to keep things a bit simple. So I'm just going to turn this into red first of all, and yeah, so when the server will just send back a new color which is green, and the client will basically change this UI from red to green. But yeah, so yeah, we've got our remote function here. We're gonna just call this a change color event. Well, not event, it's a function, so I'm gonna call it function. Yeah, so we've got this here. And we're gonna go into our local script, remove this part because I don't need it. I'm gonna keep this part because I kind of still need it. So game get service replicate storage dot events. Then we have to now just access change color function dot. No, we're gonna do colon because we're the ones gonna be that are firing the request. I mean, so colon invoke. So instead of fire, we do invoke server. So invoke just basically means we're sending in a request and we're expecting a value to return. So we're going to do invoke server. And once again, similar to fire, so similar to the remote event, I mean, we can add in additional arguments and parameters if you want to put in more data. However, we're not going to do that here. We're just going to leave it empty. And we're just going to call this local new color equals game get service. We're just going to do that. And what we want to do is we want it so we can change the background color. So after we got our new color, we're going to do script.parent, because if we do script.parent to check our change color button, we're going to do dot access the background color 3 property. So it's not background color, you have to remember the 3 that's at the end. And then we're going to do equals new color. And now basically what should happen is if we click on the button using script.parent mouse button one click. So clicking on the button just makes it so it sends a request to the server, expecting a new color to return back and be set to this variable. And we're gonna set the button's background color 3 into this new color. So now we just have to code the server side. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go into server script service. We're gonna add in a new script. Call this color script. Just keep it simple like that. And then what we're going to do is game get service replicate storage. You know the drill already at this point. So events, we have to just get the function basically. So change color function, and then what we do here is a bit different. We make an event, but it's going to be a slightly different format. So we're just going to do dot on server invoke, and we're going to do equals instead. Instead of doing connect, we're going to do equals function bracket, and then we press enter. I don't really know why it's different for the remote function, but I know for a fact, I'm pretty sure at least, we can't do connect. It just doesn't work for some reason. I've tried it before in my previous projects and my previous games. It's just the way it is pretty much. And we're going to do function, and then in our brackets we're going to put in the player. So this player parameter will always be in the request from a client to the server basically. So let's say a remote event or a remote function is being requested from the client to the server. Player will always be in the first argument, so remember that. And then after that will be your additional arguments basically. So we've got our player, and what we want to do is well, to be fair, we technically wouldn't need a player in this instance because we just want to return a value basically, a color. But for future reference you will want to do that. But for now I'm just going to use it actually. So print player.name as requested to change the color. So now that gives us an excuse to use the player. And then we're just going to return color3.new color3.new. This basically just means right now I'm creating a new color. So what we do is color3, because that's the data type that we use to represent colors, and then we're going to do dot new, and then we have to put in a value from 0 to 1. So 0 means it's black, and then 1 is basically white, and then the 3 in the name stands for RGB. So the first is red, the second is green, the third is blue. So if we want to return green, I'm just going to do 0, so 0 is red, comma 1, 1 is for green, so RG, and then I'm going to do comma 0, and then 0 is for B, so blue. And then hopefully I've got it all set up now. So we got a script in the server script service that listens to invokes from the client. It will print out the player's name, has requested to change the color, and then it'll return the green color basically. So if I were to press play and I click on this, change color, you can see now it's changed to green. Yeah, so that's how you would create it. So that's how you'd create a function. Yeah, I'll just do it again. You can see I click on it, I'm spamming it. You can see it's being printed into the output as well. I did want to make it random, but it's going to be a bit long. I'll have to show you how to create random numbers. I'll leave that for another tutorial. But yeah, so now I've basically shown you how you can communicate from the client to the server back to the client. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything that has to be taught in this video, at least. There's another thing that you could potentially do. So you can do a server talking to the client and then getting information from the client back. However, I don't suggest doing that at all, so I'm not gonna bother showing it in the tutorial, because I don't think it's good practice at all whatsoever, because basically the client can obviously change the data to whatever they want it to be. And I just don't really see a point of where you would really use it, because yeah, I just don't really see the point of using it. Additionally, another reason why you shouldn't do server to client and then client to server basically. So basically the server requesting data from the client using a remote function. Another reason why you shouldn't really do that is because there's more risks. So let's say the client throws an error during the request, the server will throw an error. That's number one. Number two is if the client, so let's say the player just left, like he just straight up left the game during the request, the server will just throw an error just saying that, oh, the player left, and it won't continue the script. So you'll basically have to add checks for that in the script, which is just unnecessarily long. And lastly, if let's say the server never gets like a request back, so well, it doesn't get information back, the script basically just yields, or technically just waits forever. So that's another reason why you shouldn't really request information from the client to the server. Well, server to client and then back to the server. So for those reasons, I'm not really going to show you how you can create a script on the server to get data from the client. You can usually just communicate anyways with remote events anyways, so it's fine. I don't think you need to know it, but just in case you are curious, I will leave a link below in the description that you can read up on the documents page. But yeah, so that's essentially everything you need to know about how to create your own leaderboard and how you can use remote events and remote functions in your game. Obviously, this is a really simple example. However, it's a really powerful tool that you need to know for your games. And yeah, I think I might make a more detailed tutorial. So let's say I might make a fighting game or a sprint tutorial, or something that basically uses remote events and functions. I am planning to create a simple game tutorial in a few videos time that uses all our skills that I've been teaching you over the last few weeks. So expect that very soon. But yeah, so that's basically everything that I have to say. I hope you do enjoy the video, and I hope that it was simple, that you do understand it. If you have any questions, be sure to just say it down in the comments below. As I said before, I'm always reading it, so don't feel afraid. And yeah, I guess I'll just see you in the next video.